Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. My name is Zach, and the UFL is officially back this week as week one of the UFL season kicks off. Week one of the UFL season kicks off this Friday, March 27th. I'm here to give you my predictions. The first game of the season, I mentioned, is Friday night. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on Fox. As you have the Birmingham Stallions taking on the Louisville Kings. People that don't know, the Louisville Kings are basically the relocated Memphis Showboats. There's a handful of relocation teams or slash rebranded teams this season. The Kings is one of them. So I'm going to talk about some key players for this game, and then I will get into my picks. So key players for Birmingham. First one I want to talk about is quarterback Matt Corral. Matt Corral is somebody that has been with Birmingham for the past couple of seasons. He's somebody that has started games for them. He's played well. Unfortunately, he's had some bad luck. He's suffered some injuries. But he's a very talented quarterback, and if he can stay healthy, he can be a very, very good quarterback for them. Other key player is running back Anthony McFarland. Anthony McFarland, another very talented player that has UFL experience. They have a very good wide receiver duo in wide receivers Deion Kane and Dawood Davis, although they haven't played together. Deion Kane has been with the Stallions the past few years, and he's put up some good numbers. Dawood Davis didn't do very well last season as he was injured. The year before with the Memphis Showboats, he had a very good season and actually wound up getting some NFL looks. He's another very talented wide receiver, and I'm excited to see what he can do paired up with Deion Kane. On the defensive side, they've got some more key players. First ones I'm going to talk about are linebackers Tay Crowder and Kayava Tanzino. Tay Crowder is somebody that has some NFL experience. This is his second season with the Birmingham Stallions. Had a very good year last year with them, and I think he can continue to play well for them. Tanzano is somebody that's been there for a few years. He's one of the leaders of this defense. Very talented linebacker that can help bring leadership to them and help them in this game. And finally, the last player I want to talk about is safety JoJo Tillery. Similar to Cezino, he's been there for years. He's been there since 2022 when they were in the USFL. Another veteran leader that is also very talented and can help bring a lot to the table for them, not just in terms of his talent on the field, but his leadership abilities as well. Moving on to the key players for Louisville. First off, I'm going to talk about quarterback Jason Bean. Jason Bean is somebody that this is his first year in the UFL. However, 2024, he was actually the number one overall pick for the Memphis Showboats in the UFL draft. Didn't wind up going to the UFL. He had some NFL opportunities with the Colts. Went through training camp with them, stayed in the practice squad for the past couple of years. Well, now he's here, finally in the UFL, and he is a very talented quarterback. He's shown that at Kansas. He showed that in limited opportunities in the preseason and with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm excited to see what he can do in this game and what he can do to help this team. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to be with their very big body wide receiver, Jonathan Adams, as he got placed on injured reserve earlier this week. However, somebody that I think could look to fill that role and do a very good job at it is Isaiah Winstead. He is another big body receiver. He's about 6'3", about 215 to 220 pounds. He has some UFL experience with the Dallas Renegades, where he's put up decent numbers. But I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he can make a big impact on the game and really be a help to Jason Bean. Also, they have running back Benny Snell. Again, a player that doesn't have UFL experience, but he spent a few years in the NFL and some pretty good seasons, his first 2 years in the NFL. And he's somebody that can bring a very dynamic running game to this Louisville offense. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have linebacker Steele Chambers, who is his second season in the UFL. He had a pretty good year last year. He was pretty high up in tackles on the Memphis Showboats last year and was one of their better players. And then also you have safety Kenny Robinson, who's another guy that has a bunch of spring football experience going all the way back to the 2020 XFL, where he played for the St. Louis Battlehawks. He has some NFL experience. I believe he was on the Birmingham Stallions at one point as well. So he's somebody that has a tremendous amount of talent, has a bunch of playing experience at this level, and is just all around a very good player for their defense. Now, getting into my pick for this game, I think this could be a very exciting, very close game. These are two teams that look like they could have very good, very good offenses, seem like they have pretty good defenses. Don't really know how each team is going to look, as it is the first week. But I am going to go with the Birmingham Stallions to win this football game. I'm going to go with the team that has the veteran quarterback. Now, I don't know, maybe Jason Bean can go out and prove that, he is one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now. But for now, I'm going to go with the Birmingham Stallions, and I think that Matt Corral can be a veteran leader of this offense. He has the talent to carry this offense. He has the talent around him on his team. I think that the Stallions are overall the more talented team and one of the more experienced teams in the UFL. So give me the Birmingham Stallions to get the win in this opening kickoff game. Moving on to Saturday, March 28th. Your first game is at noon Eastern on ESPN as the defending UFL champions, DC Defenders, take on the St. Louis Battlehawks. Key players for St. Louis, first and foremost, quarterback Jordan Teamu. He's been for key players for DC, first and foremost, quarterback Jordan Teamu. He's been with them since 2023 in the XFL. He is one of the top quarterbacks in the UFL. He has been for the past few years. He's somebody that has a ton of experience, so much talent, and has really done a lot over the past few years, and has been putting up tremendous numbers and winning big games for this team. We also have running backs Abram Smith and sorry, I'm blanking on his name. I had it. Abram Smith and Deion Jackson. They're two very dynamic running backs. Deion Jackson, one of the top running backs in the UFL last season. Abram Smith is somebody that was very good in the XFL and suffered some injuries, but he still had a pretty good year last year splitting carries. I think that's another very good dynamic duo for them. They also have a very good dynamic wide receiver duo in Cornell Powell and Ty Scott. Another set of great weapons for Teamu in this offense. And then defensively, their biggest key player is cornerback DeAndre Baker, who is somebody that has NFL experience. He's a former first-round draft pick of the New York Giants. He has UFL experience as well. Had a very good season last year for the DC Defenders. He's another guy that can help elevate this team. Moving on to key players for St. Louis. Starting off, their starting quarterback, Brandon Silvers, somebody that has started a few games for them last season, has starting experience. He has a good quarterback. They also have running back Jarvion Howard, who is, I think, one of the better talented running backs in the UFL. He was very good for them last season as really their number 2 guy. And now he has a chance to be the workload running back, and I think he can do a great job at that. They also have 2 very good wide receivers in Hakeem Butler and Ja'Cour Pearson. Hakeem Butler, a very big body guy, great contested catching guy, great really goal line guy who has a lot of talent. 6'5", about 220 pounds, 225 pounds. So it's, really a mismatch for most defenses. And Ja'Cour Pearson is a little on the smaller side. He's about 5'7", 5'8", about 190-ish pounds. But he's very shifty, very talented, great route runner, great when you get him the football. A very good counterpiece to Hakeem Butler. Defense, they have pretty talented defensive linemen. First off is Carlos Davis, who is a former Birmingham Stallion, very good with them for a few years, put up pretty good numbers. And they also have edge rusher / outside linebacker Pita Teamo Apena, who was one of the leaders in sacks last season for them. A very good player for them, very talented. This is a game that honestly could go either way. It's being held in St. Louis in the Dome with that, usually tremendous, great crowd there. It could make a big factor. But I am going to go with the DC Defenders to win this football game. Just looking at their roster, I think they have better talent. I think the quarterback position is one of the big ones. I think you'll find a lot as I go through these. I think I would just much rather trust Jordan Ta'amu and what he has around him than Brandon Silvers. Although I think St. Louis is very talented, I think that DC is just a little bit better, and I think DC gets the victory here. Moving on to your second game on Saturday, you have at 4 p.m. Eastern. Watch this game on Fox. You have the Houston Gamblers, who are the rebranded Houston Roughnecks, taking on the Dallas Renegades, who are the rebranded Arlington Renegades. Some key players for Houston. Their starting quarterback is going to be Noah Henderson, who is somebody that has, again, UFL experience. Started some games for them last season, looked pretty good, but unfortunately suffered an injury that cost him the rest of the year. So a little bit of what could have been with him last year. He gets a chance to kind of show out some more this year. Running back, they have Kirk Merritt, who again has some UFL experience, was very good last season, can hopefully look to improve and have a big impact on this game. And then wide receiver Justin Hall is really a do-it-all wide receiver. He's one of the better wide receivers in the league, and he's a great weapon for this offense. And then on defense, Houston is always, whether they were the Roughnecks or the past couple of years, or even the Gamblers now, they have some very good defensive pieces. They've been a team in the history of the UFL that's had good defenses. They have some very good defensive players this season. One of them being defensive end Malik Fisher, who was on the DC Defenders a few years ago and was near the top of the league in sacks. He may have led the league in sacks a couple of years ago. So he's very talented. And then cornerback Damon Arnett, who was a former NFL first-round draft pick, who had a great season for this Houston team last year that actually got him invited to the Houston Texans training camp. So this is a very talented defense and a pretty good offense as long as Noah Henderson can stay healthy. For key players for Dallas, a bit of a surprise. Their starting quarterback is going to be Austin Reed and not Luis Perez, not the veteran Luis Perez. They're going with the young guy, Austin Reed. Austin Reed, this is his first season in the UFL. He has some NFL experience. A couple of years ago, he was in training camp with the Chicago Bears. Didn't quite make the roster. He was on the practice squad, so he's got some NFL experience on the practice squad. He's a very talented player. From what he showed with the Bears and what he did in college at Western Kentucky. I'm intrigued just to see what he can do. I'm interested to see if they'll have Luis Perez out in any situation, as Luis Perez is also a very talented quarterback. One player that can really help out Austin Reed is wide receiver Tyler Vaughns, who's one of the more talented receivers in the NFL or in the UFL, and has a couple of years of experience with this Renegades team. He's also got running back Day Hunter, who was a pretty big bright spot for this offense last season, especially for their running game that struggled for a lot of the year. He's a very good running back. On defense, they have a few key players that are some kind of veteran leaders. One of them is defensive lineman Taco Charlton, who former NFL first-round draft pick to the Cowboys back in 2017. This is his second season with the Renegades. So he's a guy that can bring that NFL experience, bring returning experience to this team, and try to be a leader for them. And then they have also linebacker Donald Payne, another guy that has some NFL experience. He's been on the Renegades for the past few years. He's consistently a very good defensive player, a leader on that defense. He's the guy, the leader for that defense. He's the top leader. Very good linebacker. This game, I think, is one that's very difficult to pick. But when it came down to it, much like with the Birmingham Stallions and Louisville Kings, where I went with the quarterback that has experience, that's what I'm doing here as well. I'm going to pick the Houston Gamblers to win this game. Originally, had the Arlington Renegades until the news came out that Austin Reed would be their starting quarterback. So I'm going to go with the Houston Gamblers. Again, I think it could be very close, but Noah Henderson is a quarterback that has experience. He's somebody that played well last season. In addition to how good their defense could be and how good I think they will be, because they're a very talented group of defensive players. I think that could be a big difference. So I'm going to go with the Houston Gamblers to get the victory. Then your final game of week 1 on Sunday, March 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. You have the Columbus Aviators, who are the relocated Michigan Panthers, taking on the Orlando Storm, who are the relocated San Antonio Brahmas. Some key players for Columbus. You have quarterback Jalen McClendon, who is actually another guy that was had some starts for the Houston Roughnecks last season and actually played pretty well. He finished 3rd in passing yards last season, 5th in passing touchdowns. He's a very talented quarterback that can help lead this team. They have a very talented trio of running backs in Toa Tawa, John Lovett, and Zaquandre White. Toa Tawa is actually the leader in rushing touchdowns last season for the Michigan Panthers. Zaquandre White last season was 7th in the league in rushing yards. He had a pretty good season with Houston. And John Lovett is somebody that didn't do very well last season. He only played a handful of games, but in 2024 had a very good season. So he's a guy that has experience, very talented player, as all these running backs are. And then they have wide receiver Devin Ross, who's a very dynamic wide receiver. He's primarily used as a kick returner last season, but hopefully this year they can find ways to use him more as a receiver, use his ability with the ball in his hands to help out their offense. And then defensively, cornerback DJ Miller and defensive lineman Ron Stone are two guys that last year had very good seasons with the Michigan Panthers. They're returning again for this season. They're two very talented players that can really help out this defense. Key players for Orlando, quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I don't believe it's been released yet at the time of recording that he's going to be their starter, but that's just who I think is going to be the starter. He's, of the quarterbacks on the roster, in my opinion, the most talented. He's somebody that has some NFL experience, and this is his first year in the UFL. But he's a very talented quarterback. They also have running back Joshua Corbin, who is a very good running back. He led the UFL in rushing yards last season. They have wide receiver Chris Rowland that can help him out tremendously, as he is a very dynamic playmaker. He led the UFL in all-purpose yards last year. He's not only a great receiver, but a great return man. He is somebody that is very dangerous if you find a way to get him the ball. And then defensively, they've got linebacker Devontae Beckett, who was 2nd in the UFL in tackles last season. It's a very talented linebacker, help out their defense. I picked for this game, again, this is one that I've kind of flip-flopped on. I think it's going to be a very close game. But I'm going to go with the Orlando Storm to win this game. I know generally I've gone to the quarterback that has experience, but in this instance, I'm going with the team that has the coach with the most experience. As the Orlando Storm, their Coach Beck is actually the only coach that has UFL experience in the entire league this year. He's the former head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks. I think he will get this Orlando team prepared and ready to play, and will get the victory this Sunday over the Columbus Aviators. Those are my picks for this week's games. Let me know in the comments who you think are going to win, what games you're looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to the Defenders and the Battlehawks. That's a game that um, they've kind of developed a pretty decent rivalry over the past few years. That's a game that's always pretty good. That's an exciting one. Let me know in the comments how excited you are for the UFL season to be back. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, see you.